Okay, I'd like to call the committee at home meeting for Monday, January 19th, 2026 to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gaffino.
Here.
Trustee Christensen.
Here.
Trustee Curtis.
Here.
Trustee Gately.
Here.
Trustee Lowry.
Here.
Trustee Nedved.
Here.
Trustee Salazar.
Here.
Audience comments? Trustee comments? Item number 1, Steve, under discussion.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Item number 1 is a site plan approval discussion for Woodman's. As we know, Woodman's has expanded their building in the past, and now they've also expanded their gas station. The newest idea that they have is they'd like to expand their car wash abilities. So with that, Nathan's going to take us through the process of the Woodman's car wash expansion.
Okay, so Woodman's is looking to build a new long tunnel car wash on the lot just south of their existing gas station. So there's the original gas station and the original small car wash. Those are the 2 new gas station canopies that were recently added, and they are proposing on this lot a long tunnel car wash format. So this would be 1 lane with 17 total parking spaces, 14 of those with vacuum spaces located along here. So very similar to other car washes you've seen built in the area. You know, you come in, all access is from Hanson Drive. There's no access to Orchard. Come through the lane, pay there, circle through, come out, and you can either vacuum here or leave. The Woodman's PUD allows for car washes as a permitted use, so the only thing they need is site plan approval. This site plan meets all of the setbacks for the zoning district and the PUD, so they're not asking for any variances or anything else that would trigger a public hearing or anything. It's just site plan approval. The existing landscaping along Orchard will remain. It's mature trees. They've been out there now for almost 20 years, so they're in good shape. The sidewalk, you see up to the north, there is sidewalk in front. That will be extended down across the lot. The only other connection point there is in the McDonald's parking lot, a stub to the site, which obviously they're not going to use because they have you have to pay to go around. But right now, McDonald's is just using that for parking anyway, so there's really not an issue there. The building will be designed to match the current designs of the gas station, the canopies, and the other facilities that are out there. And representatives are here to answer any questions.
I have none. I think it's great.
I think it's a good idea. What's going to happen to the old one?
I would like to see it be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. If we can get a little bit more higher end exterior ornamentation instead of it just looking so industrial. If there's anything we can do to embellish it a little bit.
There are at least 4 different materials on here. We have brick, we have aluminum composite material, we have fascias. So are there any suggestions you would have on?
Well, if you take a look across the street, if you take a look at like what the Taco Bell did and the Starbucks, they have a little bit more of a higher end exterior facade to them, whereas this just looks very, black and white, very no architectural detail to it whatsoever. I know it's a car wash, but I'd like to see that corridor somewhat have some consistency and having some, higher end finishes to it.
Where is the brick on the exterior? Does it show in these pictures?
Yeah, it's between the windows.
It's the tan portion.
The
Tan
and
portion, thank you.
The dark colored brick on the bottom. There's cast stone material for the sills all the way around, and there's brick in between, adjacent to the windows. And the brick piers is the white composite metal, and then we have 2 different colors of composite metal fascias around.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it looks good to me.
Yep. Anything else, Nathan, you need?
Did they
Yeah,
answer?
what's the plan for the existing car wash?
It's our understanding that it'll remain.
Do we need 2 car washes then?
Well, the existing one is still operational, and perhaps they will make a decision on that when the equipment, comes to the end of its life.
Yeah, and it was recently
They just rehabbed it.
Updated.
updated, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
That was only a couple years ago,
Yeah.
so all the equipment in there is still fairly new.
And each one of these is like one car goes through at a time, right? It's a single,
Correct.
you just drive through it and it washes it and you come out the other end.
Yeah,
So-
it's got a conveyor in it. You
So
pull
each
up.
site, right, the gas station has one and this site will have one.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And
so
then you
that's two.
vacuum, is that what that is? A vacuum,
Yes,
vacuum area?
These are the vacuums.
Yeah, there's, I believe, 14
So like self-vacuum? Oh, that's
self-vacuum,
perfect. yeah.
air.
People like that.
Okay?
Good?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, item 2, Steve?
Thank you. Item number 2 is a special use request. It's for a planned unit development off of 721 Airport Road. Nathan is going to go into more detail, but essentially the West Aurora School District would like to expand their bus facility a little bit further with access through a property down to Airport Road. And with that, Nathan is going to tell us about the process.
Okay, so 721 Airport Road, which is right on the corner here of ADJOURN Airport. The rear portion of their property back here is part of the 721 lot, and it is just vacant grass. The school district approached the property owner about purchasing that to expand parking for the bus barn. Normally, the school district doesn't get building permits from the village. They have their own system for inspecting things. In this case, though, but because they have to split the lots and because the lots would not meet the lot width in our code, we have to vote on something. So we're putting it together in a PUD. The proposed plan, so this is kind of looking sideways. Here's Airport Road. They're proposing to add 44 car parking spaces and 6 bus parking spaces. So the majority of the parking is for staff. Currently, a lot of their staff park either in the neighboring building where they've rented some spots or off-site and are bussed into the bus facility. So they don't currently have enough room on the bus facility for all the staff to park their cars there. They also have this area here for training. So the school district's policy used to be to only hire people that already had a commercial driver's license. That's getting harder and harder to do. So they've realized they're going to have to hire people that they then have to train and, help them get past the commercial driver's license. So this area here, they would use for training purposes. They are asking for an additional curb cut on Airport Road. They are providing a 20-foot landscape setback along Airport Road. The Planning Commission asked them to put in the sidewalk or bike path along the frontage there. There currently is not sidewalk there, but if you go farther east into Tollway Park of Commerce, there is a bike path. So the Planning Commission asked them to put in their section, it doesn't connect right now, but in the future it may. And they were agreeable to that, and so they show that on the plan. The remaining lot, so the lot with the building, would end up being 190 feet, and the new lot would be 156 feet wide. For the I-2 district is 200 feet, so that's why they need the vote to approve it. Otherwise, stormwater would be handled in the existing pond and in underground detention. And the school district is asking, they set the property line so it's right on the edge of the new pavement so that all of the grass would be with the existing building. So they're asking to pave up to the edge and stop there and keep all the grass with the existing building. They thought that was easier than trying to have a strip of grass, a fence, another strip of grass. So with that, the applicant is here. The applicant is representing 721. They are the ones selling the land, so they are officially the applicant.
I'm good.
Pat?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. The only question I had would be if, it doesn't look like there's any sidewalks now anywhere nearby, but in the future, I read a little bit about some potential down the road if there was ever sidewalks on each side of that property, is there a condition or something that could be added that they would have to put the sidewalk in, or?
So they're showing it right there.
Yeah, I thought they were
That was
putting
one
it
of the
in.
Plan Commission's comments, and they revised their plan to put it in.
Yeah.
Oh, they're putting it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So right now, it won't connect to
Yeah,
anything
so
on
it's
either
just gonna be
side,
there.
but this section will be in.
perfect.
I'm okay with it.
Is there any downside to this plan? It seems fine to me. I mean, I know it doesn't go exactly, the lot widths are not up to code, but is there any negative impact on the lot that's going to remain? You know, not the one that's being developed into the parking lot? Doesn't seem like there is to me, but I'm asking you that question.
Sure. The existing building will still be used for their current tenants. Their current tenants have enough parking and fit in
Okay.
that building fine. You know, this grass area it could never be a standalone building. It's not big enough, so it would never be its own building for some unrelated third party. It's either expansion for this building or expansion for one of the neighbors.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with it.
All right, thanks. Yep, looks good. All right, item 3, Steve.
Thank you. Item number 3 is a special use request for an event space across the street from Village Hall. The North Star Collective would like to utilize the 2,600 square foot building across the street for special events. This came to the board once, went to Plan Commission, they reviewed it, and had no issues, and it's back to the Committee of the Whole for review tonight, and then on to the Village Board.
Okay, so a few meetings ago, we had a text amendment about private event spaces. And if you recall, the Plan Commission Board wanted to keep those as special uses. So that was the decision, so we kept it as a special use, so they're here tonight to get their special use. The property is right across the street, 14 East State Street. They're proposing to use it for a private event space, for birthday parties, baby showers, and the like. The main gather room is 1,500 square feet. So by our code, that would require 25 parking spaces. The property itself has 14 parking spaces on the private property and back, but it also has an easement agreement with the park district that they get to utilize 10 of those spaces. So they have agreements for 24 spaces. The rest of Island Park is public parking. There's approximately 80 spaces there, but, that's open to the general public. It's not guaranteed for them, but there is obviously overflow parking there. Let's see. The Plan Commission voted for approval. The only condition they added that just the on-site management to monitor parking for big events and drop-offs and things like that. With that, I'll have you come up and talk a little bit about your event space.
I don't have questions.
I have a question. What is the North Star Collective? What do you guys do?
It mainly for events. It was a dance studio. So there was a studio upstairs, 1,500 square feet, and then there's a little studio, like a yoga studio is what we're planning. And then downstairs, it's a kids space, another 1,500 square feet. And so that would be for kids parties or open play. And then yoga, maybe mommy and me classes. I had someone contact me about therapy, which I thought was really cool. She was a speech therapist, and she has her own business, Little Explorers. So she just kind of came and looked at the space. She's now in Batavia. lives in North Aurora. And then the event space interests baby showers, wedding showers, birthday parties, adults or whatever, so.
So it's kind of a hard thing to classify in zoning, so some of that stuff, dance studio is permitted, having
Exercise.
athletic classes is permitted. It's really only when you get into having parties, catered events, that it becomes a special use. So some of the things she's saying, go ahead and do, having catered events, parties, that require the special use, so that's why we're here.
I'm good. I think
Yeah, I
it's
don't-
fine. We're fine.
Yeah, I don't see
I
any
think
problem
it's
with it.
all right, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right, moving on to number 4, Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. Item number 4, while Nathan switches over to Jason, is our 6-month mid-year update. So every year, the staff, Jason, provides a 6-month budget update, basically. So we're getting to the point of the year where we start next year's fiscal year. So the staff is already putting together the proposed budget for the 26-27 year, which starts June 1st. So we're at that point now that technically we're at like 7 months in. So we have the 6 months data, and Jason wants to tell you how we're doing so far this year.
All right, thanks, Steve. So Steve mentioned the numbers we're going to show tonight are just the first half of the year, so the first 6 months of results. Overall, they've been pretty favorable. There's been a couple that we'll get into, just maybe 1 or 2 kind of ones that were a little surprising. But we're going to start with some of the major revenues of the general fund, starting with sales tax. Overall, as you can see from the graph there, the first 6 months of the year, sales tax over the last 5 years has been pretty steady. I haven't seen too many increases or decreases. It's been around that $4 million range for the first 4 months of the year. Our budget this current fiscal year was $7,172,500. Year to date, we're just over $3.9 million. Based on what we're seeing so far, I'm projecting it at just over $7.2 million for the year, so a little over budget. If you look at last year's actuals, though, we ended up at over $7.6 million, which is the highest we've ever been. A lot of that has to do with, we had a major retailer, had some statewide kind of tax adjustments, so we saw some extra money come in that was really unexpected, and it wasn't expected to continue forward last year, so that really kind of pushed up last year's a little higher than it's ever really been. And then the grocery tax. So the grocery tax, as you know, goes away statewide January 1st. But we did pass, along with many other municipalities, our own local grocery tax, which goes into effect when the state's goes away. We haven't seen any of those numbers yet. That will come. So basically what's going to happen is our sales tax number that we get from the state will go down, but then we're going to get a separate payment just for the grocery tax. But for reporting purposes, once we get that, we're going to combine that with the sales tax just so things don't look bad historically, where we see this big dip in sales tax. We're going to combine it all since to kind of show apples to apples with all the numbers. But we haven't seen that yet. We expect the first payment to come in relating to January sales in April. So in a few months here, we'll kind of see what the effect of the grocery tax is. Moving on to income tax, that's been steadily increasing each year. Income tax is distributed statewide on a per capita basis, so all that money gets split up by population amongst all the various municipalities in the state. For this year, the budget was $3,175,000, and this is the revenue that we depend. The IML each year puts out their projections on what they think the per capita amounts are. They're usually on the conservative side, usually comes in a little higher than what they're projecting. So this year to date, we're just over $1.4 million. Based on what we're seeing, I'm projecting $3,265,300, so a little above our budget amount. And last year we were $3,256,000. So pretty much right around where last year's were, and our budget is kind of where we're thinking this year come in. Use tax is the one that we've kind of seen a big dip in, and I'll kind of get into that in a little bit. Use tax really over the last, I would say 10 years, maybe a little less than 10 years, has been really a roller coaster. Going back to 2018, when online retailers began collecting use tax. So that's what we saw statewide, a big increase in use tax when we started getting this money that really wasn't coming in and started getting pushed out to the municipalities. But then in 2021, they had the Leveling the Playing Field Act, which pushed a lot of that use tax to sales tax. So we saw some decreases in our use tax. Then further onto that, there were some changes in January 1st of 2025 related to the Leveling the Playing Field Act, where they push even more of that use tax into sales tax. Related to that one, when we looked at when that January 1st, 2025 change took place, the first revenue payment we got was nearly 80% less than when you compare the year before that month. So we saw a huge dip, which is why when you're looking at the numbers I'm showing you now, we have that gigantic decrease in our fiscal year 25-26. Again, I mentioned that we use IML. IML also gave projections on what they thought the changes for that change come January 1st, 2025 was, and it was significantly even less than what they were thinking. So this is a number that we've seen kind of decrease, and we're expecting it to probably decrease even further. Looking at last year's, we brought in $442,000, and based on what I'm seeing now, I'm thinking maybe just a little over $150,000. But there is a offset to increases in sales tax. So I did mention that the use tax goes away, but we did see some gains on the sales tax side related to this. So it's not necessarily a one-to-one, but we should see some on the other side of it. And then finally, the general fund building permits. These vary year by year just based on what some of the projects going on. This current year, we had the I-88 Corporate Park Building C build-out permit issued, and then Autumn Ridge subdivision. So far, year to date, we're brought in $272,000. We budgeted $450,000. So currently, based on what we're seeing coming in, probably projecting just under $500,000. So we should exceed our budget amount. Looking at last year's, one of our largest years we had, $964,000. I mean, we had some major projects with, I think it was Bimbo Bakeries and then the Ship Bob. So large permit build-outs really drove last year's. But generally, when we look at our budget, we usually budget in that $450,000, considering that's maybe, just kind of the normal day-to-day projects that come in, and maybe one build-out of a warehouse or something. And then just on the general fund, some major expenditures year-to-date or things that we planned. Police pension contributions came in at $1,955,920. We had the Mark 43 records management system for police at $131,728. Our City of Aurora dispatch fee, $297,000. We had $230,000 in the budget for tree trimming and tree replacements. And then our sales tax rebates of $425. As a reminder, we have 4 active sales tax rebates, one for the Ford dealership, the Genesis dealership, the Riverfront Ram, and then the inline stores at the town center. We do have this current year a budgeted $400,000 transfer from the general fund to capital projects. We had the same amount last year, which we ended up increasing that to $650,000 going to the capital projects, and then another $1.4 million going into the water fund. Our fund balance at the beginning of this fiscal year was $10,168,000. We do have a reserve policy of 40 to 50%, but our current fund reserve in the general fund is 65%. So we're well above our policy. Just moving on to the TIF funds, the United TIF, our property tax this year, $1,542,000. So that's up $500,000, 55% from last year. We had a lot. I think it was the I-88 corporate building B fully was built out and came onto the tax. So we saw that one increase significantly this year. We do have a budgeted transfer to come into the TIF, United TIF, from the Route 31 TIF of $1,270,000, which is earmarked for property acquisition to try to buy some properties within that TIF. Then over on the Route 31 TIF, we did see $783,000 of property tax money come in this current year, which is up 98% looking at last year. And this is related to the warehouse over off of Sullivan was finally built out, moved in, assessed, and that came on in this last year or two of the TIF. The money we do collect next year, so in 2026, this current year, will be the last year of the Route 31 TIF. So during the budget hearings that are coming up, we're going to have to make a decision as to kind of what to do with the dissolution of this TIF. Is there going to be money left over so we can either port the money over to the United TIF to keep trying to buy more properties, or we can distribute it back to the various taxing bodies or a combination of that. So the board will have to make a decision as to essentially what to do with the leftover money that remains in the Route 31 TIF. Capital Projects Fund, our non-home rule sales tax obviously has increased significantly due to the increase from 0.5% to 1% back in July of 2024. Again, this tax does not include vehicle sales, groceries, or certain medical items. Our budget was just under $2.9 million for this current year. We're just under $1.7 million through the first 6 months. Based on our current projections, we're $3,194,500. Just keep in mind that the extra 0.5% that we get essentially goes to paying the debt for over the next 15 years for the police, for the public works building. So even though we have this significant increase in revenue now going forward, basically half of that or all the additional revenue is going straight essentially to our debt payment. And then the other revenue of the capital projects funds are utility tax. This varies really year to year based on how weather's doing, what the utility rates are. As you can see, for the past 5 years, we've hovered around $300,000 between the two, electricity and gas tax, for the first 6 months of the year. Within our capital projects fund, some of the major projects we have this year is our road program. So the road program we did a little different this year since we had some motor fuel tax money. We only budgeted $1,150,000 to come out of the capital projects fund, where we had about $750,000 come out of the motor fuel tax money to kind of save some money here on the capital side. So year to date, we've only spent $413,000. I think we're just waiting on some payments to be made, but we should hit that budgeted amount. On the public works, facility design, and construction management, we spent about $450,000 year to date out of a budget of $639,000. And then the Veterans Memorial, we had a combined total of $675,000 versus all the planning, engineering, construction budgeted this year, and we spent about $69,000 of engineering and design year to date. We do have the budgeted transfer of $400,000 to come over later this year once we assess results of the general fund. Over the last 7 years, we've put $13.3 million from the general fund surplus into the capital projects fund. Our fund balance as of June 1st was $12.5 million. We don't have a reserve policy unlike the general fund where it's 40 to 50%. We just accumulate money to use on future capital. But of that $12.5 million, we do have budgeted $4.5 million to come out of capital projects to help pay for the public works facility. When we borrowed the money, we only borrowed a portion of the money to pay for the full building, knowing that some of it was going to be paid for with reserves we had on hand. So we should see a decrease this year, basically when we use some of that reserve money to pay for the building. Just jumping over to the water fund now. Our water sales are the main revenue source of the system. Our current rate is $16 for the first 3,000 gallons and $5.95 per 1,000 after. We did budget $3.7 million this current year in revenue. Currently, we're just under $1.9 million. Our current revenue is just based on usage right now, $3,671,150. So just a little under where we budgeted. Basically, just we haven't sold as much water as kind of the projections we put forth at the beginning of the year, but it's pretty close. Obviously, last year we only had just over $3 million, but we had a pretty significant water rate increase just due to the operating costs and the capital within the water system. Rates are going to be something we'll be looking at once we finalize the water system master plan here in the next month or two with the budget coming up. But some of the major expenditures and planned in the water fund, we had the West Treatment Plant electrical and grounding. That's a project that started last year. We only carried over $100,000, but we've actually spent about $147,000, so that's just money. That was part of last year's budget that didn't get spent, so we'll have to do a budget transfer to kind of make up for this one. And then Central Water Tower, we had $3.1 million budgeted this current year as part of I think we budgeted over 3 years to pay for the tower. We only spent about $1 million so far this year, but based on kind of how we're at, there should probably be another $2 million or so probably go into the next fiscal year to finish the project. We do have our total debt payment of $492,775. This will go through January 1st of 2032. Each year is about that, give or take. We did have a reserve balance of about $10 million as of January 1st, but we do budget to decrease our reserve balance by about $2.7 million just due to capital and things going on within the water fund. So again, we're trying to build up some of that reserve balance because we know we have a lot of capital kind of backlog that'll take that balance down. And I did mention that the master plan is nearly complete, which we'll get into kind of helping us build that 5 and 10-year capital plan of saying, here's the projects that we need to do, here's when we should kind of do it, here's some options to pay for it, and what kind of rates we're looking to do for it.
Jason, if I can jump in real quick. So the water rate study, the board saw a preliminary study from our engineering consultants at EEI. Brian and Brandon are working to finalize it. The big thing that was hanging out there was the discussion on creating an east pressure zone or potentially an intergovernmental agreement with the city of Batavia to provide water to a neighborhood. As of right now, we have a draft IGA that we have not presented to Batavia yet because we're waiting on EEI to finish up the rate study first. Timing-wise, I don't think we'll be able to, have a final agreement or discussion with Batavia and actually know what that number is going to be before the budget year. So what we decided to do was have EEI finish up the rate study. They're going to finish it up, assuming that we're going with the city of Batavia because that was the cheaper option to create pressure on the east side. We can always amend it in years to come if we have to actually build a fourth tower on the east side. So we're trying to get that water rate study to you coinciding with the budget process so we at least can set some rates for next year.
So that's all I have until we come back in a month with some more data for the actual budget. So if there's any questions.
And remember, the budget processes, so the first meeting of March, we typically do an overview of the upcoming proposed budget. Then 2 weeks later, we do more of a kind of line item where we go through each department and all the major requests and everything for it. Comes back again in April if there's extra questions from the board, and then eventually approval is typically in May.
I had a question on the tax rebate, the inline stores at over by Target. What's left on that agreement?
I'm trying to think of the dates. We might be a year, because it got redone a few years ago, and I think it was 15 years, and I think we might be in year 3 or 4 of that.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit
ways
left
to go. All right, thanks.
Yep.
All right, last item, number 5, Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Last item on the agenda tonight is our residential waste hauling agreement with Groot. Our current 5-year agreement with Groot is due to expire on May 31st of this year. Groot has provided us a updated 5-year proposal, and want to point out that this is just an initial proposal. So right now, this is at a point where they gave us some initial numbers. We've talked about the program, things that we've heard from feedback from our residents, from board members over the years, and conveyed that to Groot so that they've helped build a program around it. Right now, we're negotiating, so there's the typical way in a municipality is you can obviously go to RFP or bid, or you can negotiate. A lot of times, towns tend to stay with their incumbents if they're doing a good job. A lot of that has to do with the fact that when you negotiate directly with your incumbent, you have the ability to work the program directly to what you want it to be. When you go to bid or RFP, you tend to be very rigid because every time you ask for a slight tweak in a program, that now becomes an alternate to the bid and can be confusing on pricing and whatnot for different companies. In this case, we haven't had a lot of complaints about Groot service. The staff finds them to be very easy to work with when we do have residential issues. Specifically, aside from the management that we've dealt with, our route supervisor is excellent, so he's the person who oversees everybody on the street when there's complaints. So the one thing I always like to point out is when you look at garbage contracts, always look for special provisions. Every time you ask for a program or reduce a program for a contract, it ultimately has an effect on the pricing. So if you want, 5 amnesty days, that's going to affect the pricing. If you want 0 amnesty days, that's going to affect the pricing. So if you want everyone to get a free toter, that's going to affect the pricing. So everything has a relation to something else. First thing I'd like to do is just kind of go through our current program. So just as a reminder, right now we're what they call a sticker-based program. So that is basically everybody can buy a sticker and you can put it on a can each week. If you have 2 cans, you put 2 stickers, 1 for each can. Some people don't put a can, they might even put a bag out there, but they need a sticker per bag then. The option is given to rent a 65 or 95 gallon garbage toter. Actually, and I'll go into this a little bit later, When we started this contract with Groot, our toter usage percentage with Waste Management was in the low 20s. I believe it was 21%. As of October, our Groot toter usage, so our residents are now 57% are using toters, and it might even be closer to 60 right now. Everybody gets a free garbage 65-gallon toter through the program. You do need stickers for yard waste bags. And as I mentioned earlier, the sticker used for garbage, that is actually the same sticker used for yard waste. And then you have stickers for bulk items. So if you put an item under 50 pounds, it's one sticker. Right now that sticker is $4.60. If you have a large item, it's 5 stickers. So it's roughly about $24, $24 to put out a large item. We have a couple special provisions in our contract in the early part of spring. So in the very beginning of April, we have 2 weeks of free yard waste collection. This typically, you don't get a lot of the gardening in that, so it's not people are actually, putting their garden out or anything, but what you get is people cleaning up their yards after the winter, sticks, things that fell off their trees, maybe some plants in their yards that they didn't cut down in the fall, so they're getting their hostas ready and everything and putting them out. Sometimes maybe they have some leaves that they didn't get to put out, and I'll get to that because we're going to talk about the leaf program too. Our yard waste program is a standard April to November. That has been an industry standard for a long time. That's kind of changed with weather patterns changing, and towns are looking to go a little bit longer now. We have one free cleanup day, so that right now is in the fall, every September. That's where anyone could put out bulk items for free, multiple items at the curb, no limit. And then we have the free bagged leaf collection from October to November. And once again, that is, obviously we have the village's curbside leaf collection with the vacuum. The bagged leaf collection is just that. You bag it, only you don't have to put a sticker on it. Current program feedback that we get from residents, and I asked a couple of the people in the office to take all the calls and make sure that I'm hearing the same things they're hearing. These are basically the primary things we hear. I'm going to skip to the last one where it says some residents do not put out more than a can a week. That's going to come into play when we talk about stickers versus toters. So that's one thing just to keep in mind, that not everybody in town puts a bag of garbage out every week. But the 4 common complaints or questions or concerns that we get are, number one is the sticker price is too high and not in line with other communities. So, right now our cost of a sticker is $4.60. It's, the highest in this region, and that's because we have garbage embedded within it. So most towns, when you break it apart and have toters, which is the predominant way that waste hauling is picked up, is where towns require residents to use garbage carts or toters. And then the sticker price is purely for landscaping or anything that doesn't fit in the toter. So that actually takes a large effect out of the sticker price itself by separating garbage from the yard waste. The other one is the free bag leaf collection. Brian, I can attest, it's one of probably the most stressful things we do every year. It's one of the best programs we offer is the free leaf pickup program. It's also the most stressful program I think we offer. And it's because the weather doesn't always cooperate. The guys did an amazing job this year on a short week picking up the entire west side right before a major snowstorm came through. There were other communities that had to pause their program and didn't pick them back up until mid-December when there was a thaw. So, every year the amount of investment we put into that is substantial, not just with manpower, but the amount of machinery we now have for it. The leaf pickup program, and every year it kills us to tell residents that we've turned our leaf machines into snow plows and we don't have the ability to pick them up when those leaves don't drop until the first week of December. So you kind of have to rely on Groot. In our current contract, we asked Groot for the ability to extend it a week or 2 if needed, and they have. In the current contract proposal, we're looking to actually extend that program into mid-December, so yard waste into mid-December, so it becomes basically mandatory. The other thing too is some residents do remember the times that we had the 2 bulk collections, and this last contract we had spring and fall. We used to have spring and fall cleanup days. Now we have 1, and then we have the free yard waste collection in the spring, and then the fall cleanup for bulk items. So that's something that comes up every now and then. And then with that, the free yard waste program, the other thing we hear is that it's too early. It's in April, should be later in May when people are doing more gardening. Something we'll talk about because that has an effect on pricing potentially as well. The further you go into the season, the more likely people are going to use it, the more stuff they put out, the more Groot has to account for that waste at the curb, which could affect pricing. So notable changes. The most notable change is by far the fact that Groot has indicated that they do not have interest in offering stickers anymore. And that is becoming something that we've heard from other waste haulers in the industry too. There's only 2 communities out of the 6 that we looked at directly nearby that have stickers. It's an incumbent program they've had for a long time. A lot of the towns around us have predominantly switched over to toters only. And there's 3 other ones that we looked at that weren't in our list of the 6. And they all have toter-only programs as well. So really, out of 9 that we kind of glanced at, there's only 2 that have stickers.
I have a question. So
Yeah.
are they proposing if we switch to toter only, that the sticker price would come down?
Correct. So yes, that would be by taking it out. I'll show pricing in a second, but that's what they would do. They would take the toters would be for garbage only, and then you would have a separate sticker for essentially just yard waste and extra garbage that doesn't fit in the can. So with this, all residents are required to have a toter. Stickers would be utilized for yard waste bags, and then additional, as I said, sticker would be used for anything additional outside the can. And then you would get your choice of a 65 and 95 gallon toter, which is what they offer now when you choose to rent it. But we talked to them that we said, hey, if you're going to do, sticker programs tend to favor senior citizens. So we said, if you're going to do a toter program, you have to offer some form of senior option to try to make it affordable for them as well. So they are offering a 35 gallon can at a reduced price for seniors only.
What's that price?
It's coming up on the next slide. So notable proposed changes. So with the bulk item collection, there is, right now we have, as I said before, you have to put a sticker out for anything less than 50, 5 stickers for anything more than 50. What they're looking to do now is give us 1 free bulk item a week. So what that would do is that would remove the amnesty days. So in lieu of having the 1 time a year collection where everyone could put bulk items out for free at the curb, Groot's offering the opportunity to put 1 free item, a bulk item out every single week without a sticker. So basically you get 52 chances to put a bulk item out during the year. And in doing that right now, I have it highlighted. Josh Molnar from Groot is here tonight, so he'll come up to the podium if you have questions at the end. But what we're working on right now is just finalizing the language to make sure that it's reasonable what somebody could put out for free without putting their drivers at risk. Too heavy. Like for instance, we always use the standard in the industry that we use is piano, like whenever I talk to a garbage company. Well, if somebody puts out a piano, that's excessive. We can't lift a piano. So what we're talking about is their proposal was to charge us for anything more than 50 pounds. What we're working on right now is to do 1 free bulk item and then have a fee. If it's something excessive, extremely large, extremely heavy, it may require 2 people to lift, then they should have a pickup fee for those specific items. We do not get a lot of calls for those types of things during the year. And even on Amnesty Day, I'm not even sure if we got 1 or 2 calls at the most last year about someone saying Groot didn't take an item. So, I mean, you have to put something out there that would be beyond the norm, I think, for them to say, hey, that's excessive. I think one year, I was talking to Josh before the meeting, one year we did have somebody call up, they didn't pick up, Groot's first year, they didn't pick up his fence. Well, he put his entire fence, he took his entire yard, his backyard fence down and put a massive amount of piles along the whole parkway. And so we had to come to some agreement where he had a special pickup from Groot. But I mean, at some point it does become excessive. White goods appliances, I can have Josh talk more about that. I'm not sure that they can put white goods or appliances in the landfills anymore. Right now you need 5 stickers, that's $25. It'd be a $45 charge. And I don't know if that's because they would have to take it to a special place. But once again, these are rare. That's a refrigerator, that's an oven, that's a dishwasher. Typically when you get a new one, you pay the company to remove the old one. It's rare that you really see people put them at the curb. Yeah. Yard waste collection, we talked about extending it 2 weeks into December. And I'm just working with Groot that we clarify that the free bag leaf program would be part of that. So let's go into stickers versus toters, because that's really the big issue, whether or not a toter-based program is acceptable. So obviously, toters benefit the garbage companies in the sense that it creates less workman's comp issues. They know exactly what kind of revenue stream they're getting because now they can count on a monthly income as opposed to, is someone going to put out 1 bag this week or 3 bags at the curb? The benefit to the village price-wise is typically by separating it, they can be more aggressive in their pricing because they know the less ambiguity you have in a bid or anything, the more likely you can hone in your pricing. So what we're seeing is Groot, and I'll show you coming up, Groot's pricing that they're offering us is aggressive in the sense that it is, just to point it out, it is lower than we're currently paying for toters and lower than some of the bids we saw 5 years ago. So based on that, the next thing you see, I told you that we already increased our toter percentage, so more than half our town uses toters. And that's indicative in the way you see our sticker sales. The last year we had waste management, the last full year we had waste management, 12 months, calendar year, we sold 195,000 yard waste and garbage stickers. We're down to 87,000 stickers being sold last year to Groot. So you can see that's a 55% reduction in how many stickers people are buying. So then I talked about dropping the sticker pricing, so let's talk about that. So our current rate for a sticker is $4.60. That's the current rate you see for our 65-gallon garbage toter at $20.25 and a 95 at $22.51. The proposed rate shows the yard waste sticker at $2.75, which is a 40% reduction, and then a flat $15 for seniors for the 35-gallon toter. A 65-gallon toter drops slightly to $19.95. They're really pushing the 95-gallon toter, 2027. So you see a $2 drop there. It's funny, but I'll show you on the next slide. We do the math. It's only $4 more a year to get a 95-gallon toter than it is a 65-gallon toter.
Steve, is this per month?
This is per month, correct. So the proposed changing this is just proposed. The purpose of tonight's meeting was I don't have a finalized contract yet because the sticker program, changing over to a toter program is a big deal. And I didn't want to go forward without discussing it with the board and then proposing a contract fully executed and ready for, review. The 95-gallon pricing that they're offering is actually cheaper. The first 4 years of the contract, it'll be cheaper than our current rate. And then the 65-gallon will start to be more expensive the second year, but still very close to our current pricing because the contract's only set to go up 3% a year. Sticker pricing, and the point, just to prove that, I put their 5th-year pricing. So $275 is the first-year sticker. 5 years from now, they're proposing a sticker $309, and we're currently at $460. So one of the things that I was really proud of our staff, we worked really hard 5 years ago to try to help residents understand what benefited them financially if they should rent a toter or not. And we have this whole, on our website, it's still there, it tells you, should you rent a toter? And you can actually look at what the price of a sticker was at the time we switched contracts. Hey, do you put garbage out this many times? It's this much. So simply, the first thing I want to point out is the yellow highlight. That $4.60 is the current sticker price, but this does not show the price of anybody, what they may propose if anyone was willing to give a sticker program. And going back 5 years ago, the 4 companies that gave us sticker pricing 4 years ago, the 5th-year price that they had, one was slightly higher than Waste Management, was slightly higher than Groot's $4.60, but the 5-year pricing from the 2 other companies that are in this area were $5.25 and $5.35 a sticker, and that was 5 years ago. So, and that's, I just want to point that out, that I'm doing this based on current math and not necessarily what Groot or anybody may propose June 1 for a new sticker rate. So with that being said, if you put out garbage once a week, you can't do it monthly. There are 4 months of the year that there are 5 collection days. So Groot uses 4.33 as the standard. I just multiply it by 52 collections. So if you put a sticker out every week, 52 times, you pay $239 with a current sticker for garbage. The first year rates shown here, I actually put the current rate. So right now, $239 for stickers. You would pay, if you rented a toter from Groot right now, 65 gallon, you'd pay $243 and $270. The proposed cost drops that down to, basically, if you put out 1 can a week, it's the same price for the entire year to put out a 65 gallon toter, and only $4 more to put out a 95-gallon toter. So for $4 more, you get basically 3 times the capacity of garbage to put out. So the issue here is going to seniors and talking about that a little bit. So I put every 2 weeks. So assuming everybody puts out, let's say I'm a senior, I don't have a lot of garbage, I put it out every other week. So every other week right now is $120 a year. So that's where that 180 number from Groot's 35 gallon, if you look at it, it's in between. It's in between I put my garbage out every week, I put it out every other week. So they do it basically, I put it out every 1.5 weeks. I mean, that's just roughly what the math comes out to be. So they're looking at a senior paying $180 a year in garbage for a flat fee. And right now they bill quarterly, so bills from Groot, if you rent a toter, it's every 3 months. So that's it. I'm going to leave this one on because I figured this might have the most questions. Josh Molnar from Groot is here. If you have any questions, Josh would come up and answer any questions about Groot or the industry.
I have a question. So this is,
Yeah.
how many years would this contract be for?
5 years.
Well, I will say I'm happy to see that if we get on the toter program, the price comes down for everybody. So I think that's a net good thing. We have to, I mean, the 35 gallon for the seniors, I think it's not unreasonable. And I think if it's going to be a net benefit for the whole village, everybody's price is coming down, why not?
So I would also point out to the board too, I just want to show you where this pricing sits in comparison. So we looked at, 6 other communities, like I said, in the Fox Valley, up and down, and South Elgin, St. Charles, Geneva, Batavia, Yorkville, and Montgomery. 3 of those communities, Yorkville, South Elgin, and Montgomery, are considered our 3 best comparables in the area. If you look at their pricing to where we are being proposed by Groot, our pricing is actually very favorable. It should be the lowest out of any of the comparables. So right now, if you look at the other towns, the range for a 95-gallon toter is 2136 to 2809. The 65-gallon range is 2113 to 2621. The 35-gallon toter range is 1812 to 2260. The senior rate, so some of them do have a 35-gallon toter, that one is 1379 to 1602. And then the other programs that don't provide a senior 35-gallon toter, they just get 10% off the 95 toter price. So in some towns, a senior might pay $25 and only get a 10% discount, so they're still paying 22 or 23.
Steve, I wanted to ask you about the chart, just so I'm clear. So just on the 35-gallon, you say current monthly cost, not applicable. Current annual cost, that's the current program, is that correct? And then the next 2
Correct.
columns are the proposed?
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so somebody who's a senior, and what is a senior defined under this program? What age is that?
65 and older.
65. Okay. So they're going to go from nothing to $180 cost per year. Is that correct?
No, they
No.
would have to put garbage out somehow, so they would use stickers most likely. We don't know.
Well, I mean, in terms of, right, it would be something, but in this proposed program, it would be definitely $180 per year.
Correct.
Okay.
And so what you need to figure out here too is, okay, so roughly, and this is just pulling data off of CMAP, Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning, which uses census data. I mean, they peg us at about 15%. That's for seniors in our community. That's actually pretty accurate, I'm guessing, based on the fact that Josh from Groot, once I'm misspeaking, I think he told me they plan for a senior rate per community of 10 to 15%. So that is typically the norm that you see, 65 and older. In this case, what you don't know is out of those 15%, you don't know how many seniors are putting out garbage once a week, you don't know how many garbage they're putting out once a month, and you don't know how many of them rent a toter.
I mean, I can just speak for myself. I mean, I'm not a senior yet, but, I mean, we probably put out garbage because I recycle so much. My husband travels. There's just me there. You know what I mean? We probably put out a can once every 4 weeks or so. We just don't generate that much garbage.
Yeah.
So for us, it's going to go from, let's just say, average $5 a month, right, to what would be,
15.
well, I'm not a senior yet, so it would be $19.95. So, okay. Well, so for me, that's obviously that's a 3 or 4-fold increase. But I don't know, I guess it's hard to say if that benefits seniors. Should that be something that they can, bear the cost of $180 versus nothing? I mean, I don't know.
But if we leave it where we're at right now, I mean, the pricing's going to be more.
For those who use toters, yes.
But you'll still be paying the $460. But if we leave it where it's at right now, there's no savings for anybody. But if we switch to the toter.
Well, that's assuming you put garbage out every week.
And you're also
That's what I'm saying.
but you're also
assuming they
assuming
put out garbage every week. Yes, that's true, but a lot of people don't. Or
you're
some
also
people don't, I should
assuming
say.
that people aren't
I
using
would rather
landscaping
see
stickers at all.
90% of the people in the village get a reduction. I mean, we can't base our pricing and our decision on the outliers. $15 a month I don't think is an undue hardship, especially, and the other thing I don't like about the normal garbage things, like before we went to the toters in my neighborhood like years ago, I remember like at a windy day, people's garbage would be flying up and down the block, and I think the toters have
still
reduced
is.
a lot of that.
Yeah, it is.
This last week,
Yeah.
case in point.
So it's funny, City of Batavia went out to bid. Josh can actually, one of the reasons Josh is he can kind of tell you about the industry and where he's seen bids going. Batavia had a committee look at when they did their bid. They actually recommended toters because an environmental committee, one of the things they looked at was blowing garbage. And they went out and they bid at 3 different programs, and none of them they bid with stickers. So they bid all 3 programs toter-based.
Sure. They want to get away from it, I understand.
But this is coming from the city, not from the waste hauler. And so the city then only got bids for one of the 3 programs. And it was the toter only program with no other, frills. And then what ended up happening was the city went back to the 3 people who bid, and none of them provided sticker programs as an option.
I mean, the reduction is 30 cents, right? If I'm reading that right, so it's not substantial. What
It is,
it?
and
2025 or 1995, right? Is that, I don't know, is my math off? I think so.
Right, and then the other thing too is you got to also include what the landscaping cost drop is, because if a senior, and we're using seniors here, but if a senior puts out garbage once every few weeks, you also have to ask yourself how many yard waste bags a year does somebody put out, because it's $2 cheaper a yard waste sticker every time too now.
And what is the percentage of people who are currently using toters in the village? Did you say
57?
57%. Okay, thanks.
I got a question on the removal of the large item. Is that, so that would be in this program once a week? How does that
Yes,
work?
so instead of having, right now, you have to pay a sticker every time you throw something away, and if it's too big, it's 5 stickers. What we're trying to work on is something where they take 1 item a week. You lose the cleanup day in September, but you have the ability to throw 1 free item every single week out. Actually, during COVID, we had this for about 6 months with Waste Management because they missed a special cleanup. And we did 1 item a week for the remaining 2 months of the year. And, I think some residents at least told me that they like that idea of being able to at least throw something out every
A
week.
dresser or something like that?
I get it. Listen, amnesty programs, people love them because, you build it up, you throw a whole bunch of stuff out at one time. It's great. The mayor asked a really interesting question before the meeting. So we did a little bit of research. We were trying to figure out how much the usage dropped on Amnesty Day from when Waste Management had 2 days a year and Groot has had 1. And what was interesting was our last year that Waste Management provided 2 special cleanup days, they collected 581 tons of garbage just for those cleanup days. Groot, we didn't break out the cleanup days in September, but what we did was we took September's collections and we looked at how much they varied from August, because most months are pretty much similar. So you'll see every August they typically take this much garbage. September on the graph, it's immediate spike because it's a cleanup day. And that difference was about half. It was 240. So what was interesting is that we saw a drop. So when we had 2 cleanup days, there was 580 tons put out at the curb. When we had 1, there was only about 240. It was less than half. And so I don't know what people are doing with their garbage that maybe they're not holding it in their garage for a full year. I don't know. But it is interesting. You would have thought that you would have at least seen, instead of 240, 400 tons put out in September extra, and you just weren't seeing it.
Well, people weren't doing it. They're yeah.
Or they're just putting it out and paying a sticker
Right.
and just getting rid of it earlier.
Right.
think the big question is going to be just how strict is it going to be to the 50 pounds? Because like you said, somebody's going to have a dresser they want to throw out. Somebody's going to have a couch they want to throw out. And that's what you would normally get to do on these other days. But if you put it out at the 50-pound rule, then technically that doesn't qualify. So I think that could potentially be an
That couch
issue.
could be 100 pounds.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Did you want to? Yeah, go ahead. You can.
Good evening, Josh Molnar with Groot. Yeah, so for bulk items, couches and dressers, and like Steve said, we're working out the language. We're not looking to vary that from what's available now on the amnesty days. So what's available now through that period, we're also going to allow for the bulk item once a week. So the hope being we alleviate kind of having to blitz the town with trucks to account for that extra tonnage and do it over the 52 weeks. So hopefully in aggregate, for those who have it, you can actually get rid of a lot more than if it's just throwing it out on one day. So typically that's what we do in most of our contracts. You know, I'd say 95% of our contracts handle it on a one bulk item per week basis. So that was one of the ways we were looking at every way we could to get as aggressive as we could on the rate. When we had the opportunity to partner with you 5 years ago, you know, a big part of that was we wanted to get aggressive on the carts. So in relation to our proposal, we went really aggressive on that cart rate to incentivize. The current, like as Steve alluded to, the participation at that point was in the 20% range. And so the goal was, hey, let's incentivize that over the next 5 years through these cart rates. It was a bit of a risk, but we saw an opportunity to partner with the village. So now we're thrilled that we've gotten that to 60%, and that's organic. That's individuals deciding to make that change. And so for us on the cart side, there's a lot of changes that help us bring those benefits back to the village or to the rates specifically. It's either, safety for us is very important. So if our guys getting out of the cab less, there's less injuries. So it's a very dangerous industry. So we're trying to keep our men and women coming back home, making sure they're going to their families unscathed. The second is efficiency. We talk about the carts. We have the automated process, the arm that comes out and services those cans. So allowing us to better utilize that technology allows us to pass that efficiency on through the rate. And then contamination. On the recycle side, traditionally on sticker programs, we see more contamination on the recycling carts than we do on carted towns. So we want to do our best to try to clean that up as best as possible, to have a better end product to market and process. That also allows us to bring a better rate at the end of the day. So for us, we know we need X to service the town. There's a sunk cost there. We send a truck and a driver down the street, whether there's a bag or not, out for those utilizing the sticker program. We still have to send that truck and that driver down the street. So there's a lot of sunk costs to that. So what we did here was try to incentivize that with big decreases to the current cart users and then allow for a lower rate on the seniors, because we know that'll be obviously those are the lower volume users. So the hope was we could pass these efficiencies on in the rate compared to the area communities. It's a very aggressive rate.
I have a question.
Yeah.
By senior, is that like 55?
65.
55 and up?
No,
65.
65.
Oh, 65.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the goal. This was kind of a long-term vision to partner with the village to try to, obviously introduce a low cart program, organically get participation up, and then ultimately, hopefully, pass the taking advantage of those efficiencies onto the residents through the rates on a fully carted program.
I'm fine.
I mean,
So the proposed cost, it says first year, what are the rates, what do the rates look like after the first year?
So I just want to make sure that we were on the right pace here. But as I said earlier, the rates are actually, for the 95 gallon, is cheaper for the first 4 years than the current rate is. So in year 5 of the 95 gallon will be $22.82, and right now it's at $22.51. So it'll only be 31 cents more in the 5th year than it is currently. The contract's a 3% increase every year, so it basically just 3% each year added on. The 65 gallon is $22.46 in the last year. they really want people to use 95 gallons. It's a 40 cents different to use the larger toter in the last year.
I have a question for Josh. How will you determine if somebody's actually a senior?
Well, typically, we've done it one of two ways, either depending on the particular municipality. I'd say most of them call us to verify, and that's just, providing their proof of residence or their driver's license to prove age status. Or in other cases, the village has verified those as well. It really depends on what the village would or would not want to do regarding that. But typically, they're verified through Groot. They contact us direct. We handle that, verify it, and apply the discount.
You come out and look at their driver's license or what?
No, they call us. Sometimes they visit us. We're 5 minutes that way. So we're not that far away. But yeah, it's a pretty industry standard program that we do in about 80 contracts.
And then the other question I have is on the sticker with the excess garbage. How does that work? You put the sticker on the bag and put the bag next to the toter, or what?
Yeah, it's only for anything outside the cart. So yeah, if you put one bag out or a 35-gallon can, just put one sticker on there and we take it.
So the can is included in the cost of the monthly rate?
No. Yes. The initial cart, yeah, the 95 or 65-gallon cart.
Right,
That's
right.
included in the monthly rate, correct.
And then I guess I would have to say, I mean, you have 43% who are not using toters, so they're now going to have maybe they're putting out two cans a month with a sticker, right? That's whatever that $9.20. So their cost is going to go up substantially. I think I don't know. For me, I'm on the fence, obviously, because I'm one of those people who just doesn't put it out that often. And if somebody is a senior and they have $180 a year, maybe that's a lot for them.
Yeah, well,
it's basically subsidizing the other 57% who are using toters.
And there's two, no, I 100% understand. And Josh and I talked before. Listen, nobody wants seniors to have to pay anything more. I get that. And we're looking at this. That's why we try to make sure that when we present it tonight, it's on the lower end of what's being offered in other communities. As I said earlier, everything has an effect on everything else. If there's things that you want to reduce in the program, or Josh and I were talking about, he can put numbers together that would be slightly higher for the 95 and 65-gallon rentals, which essentially could drop the price even lower for the 35-gallon. So everything has an effect on itself. But I keep pointing, I want to make sure, whether you're a senior or not, the landscaping stickers, the real question also has to be thought of, how many people are buying landscaping stickers just for a bag of landscaping but paying $4.60 and have a toter at their house, but they're still paying $4.60 because the garbage is embedded in that cost. So now that same person who's got a rented toter can put out those bags of yard waste for $2.75 and save $2 every time they put a bag out. So that, and I just saying that because that's a real cost too.
I mean, I think that people would be really thrilled at the idea of being able to put some sort of bulk item out every week. People won't put something out every week, I doubt, but I think people would be thrilled that they have the opportunity to do that every week because they can get rid of it when they want to get rid of it instead of having to wait till one time a year, like we all do. We're like, okay, I'm going to get rid of that in September, and here it is in January. Gee, I wish I could get rid of it now for the space. I think people will really like that aspect of the program.
Does that make the pricing better, doing it once a month versus one big day cleanup? As far as
that was baked into the rate reduction, was to allow for a once a week bulk item collection.
But I'm saying that gives us the cheapest rate for toters is by doing it monthly.
That's one of the factors that brought us to that rate for the cheaper toters, yes.
Okay.
So we found that instead of, kind of blitzing it in one service week, doing it over the year allows for, I think on average, people to get rid of more, but over the period of a year.
I know I'm guilty of, on spring cleaning or fall cleanup day, I'm guilty of forgetting that it's fall cleanup day until like a few weeks ahead, and then I'm going looking for anything I can get rid of that I need to get rid of. So it is definitely, I think, this is just, like I said, from people I've talked to, but putting out one item gives you that ability that if you put that mattress in your garage and you don't have to hold it for 6 months, you can put it out that week.
And this program would take effect as of June 1st? Is that when the new contract would take effect?
Correct.
If this was what it was, June 1st?
Yeah.
This year? Okay, thank you.
So if the board believes, and I want all the feedback because I need it, we're on a tight timeline. if the board, you know, the feedback you give me tonight on whether or not to go forward sets us on two different paths. So I'm not confident that there are a lot of towns that, or companies that will offer a program anymore based on feedback we've gotten. And like I said before, sticker pricing that we got from companies 5 years ago is higher than we're currently paying for stickers. So, you know, that doesn't bode well for that being an option that's probably as viable as it was 5 years ago. So that sets us on one path, but assuming we stay on this path, Josh and I still have to go through the contract, finalize all the language, and take your feedback from tonight and see if we can change around the pricing. For instance, so just throw this out there. We were talking earlier, and I didn't think it would be an issue to change the 2 weeks in April to May for the free yard waste collection. That's a complaint we get from residents. But Josh reminded me right away that if you look at our numbers, there's more yard waste picked up in May, which means that's more money they have to spend to pick that up and dump it. So it could have an effect moving that program to May. Do we see that's a benefit to move it to May if it affects the pricing? And I goes, those are things we have to know because this pricing right now is preliminary.
I have just a thought on the bulk items. So you mentioned a mattress, and I would think a mattress would be heavier than 50 pounds. So you see a lot of issues with that where, you know, you don't pick it up, and then is that going to be a, you know, big problem for staff to deal with, or I don't know if they call Groot directly or what, but, you know, well, I thought they weighed 50 pounds. Well, it's 125, and they're sitting in your front yard.
So we don't, that's what I said earlier, we don't get a lot of calls for that, and I'm anal retentive, so I called Josh, and we had a 30-minute, thanks, Nathan. I had a 30-minute conversation with Josh back and forth about language in a contract because I'm a rule follower. So if something's 50 pounds and I think it's 52 pounds, I'm going to put 5 stickers out there. But I know people are putting out things that are, you know, 55, 60 pounds, and they're being taken. So when we're looking at that, you know, I'm looking at these contracts that other towns have. South Elgin and Yorkville are good examples. They use Groot. So all 6 towns, I should have pointed this out, all 6 towns in our that we directly compared have 3 companies. that use, 3 of them use Groot, 3 of them use LRS. The other 3 that we looked at that weren't in here, 1 uses LRS, 2 use Groot. So like they are predominantly the 2 companies that do this area, the Fox Valley region. So that's, put that out there. There aren't a lot of companies in this area that offer these same services. But, you know, going back to what I was saying about the 50 pounds, I went back and forth with Josh. In some areas, we tell residents all the time, put a couch out, that's fine. And Groot would tell you that's fine. And I'm like, well, what if a couch is 55 pounds? And he's like, I'm sure they'll take the couch. And in some contracts, even though it says 1 sticker for 50, it literally lists couch as an item under 50 pounds. In one town, I saw a lawnmower said 50 pounds. I'm like, God, that could be 60. So that's why we're trying to find language that says something like what's reasonably, you know,
Considered large.
considered reasonable,
Yeah.
free. If it's excessive, and like I said, we rarely have gotten a call about excessive pickups.
So then they're picking it up then.
Then they're calling and be like, hey, this guy put out like a giant like pool table, and that's excessive. We're going to charge him whatever that fee is, $50, $100, whatever it is.
And by the way, I just want to say, so this I have pickup on Wednesdays, and Wednesday was extremely windy. I just had my recycling out there. It fell over. It blew over. I went out there once. I picked it up. I looked out again. It blew over yet again. And I was like, okay, I picked it up once again, and I came back in, and lo and behold, it blew over again. And I was just about to go and just give up and bring it back in the garage, and they came by and they picked it up. Somebody had to pick it up, come out of their truck, pick it up, put it on the curb, and they took it. So I appreciated that. I went the extra mile.
Can I just address one thing on the bulk item in the question? Our standard on mattresses and a box spring would be considered one bulk item. So really, what we're trying to do is, one, obviously it's the safety of our drivers. We're trying to reduce injuries and things like that. So standard contract language is usually 50 pounds or an item that one person can reasonably load. Now, it's difficult to define that because we've seen hundreds of different items at the curb.
Well, it's free. People are going to push the limit, go, oh, I thought it was 50. It's,
right.
Yeah, but
100.
like even a couch, I mean, a couch does not weigh only 50 pounds.
No, right.
I mean, there's no couch that weighs 50 pounds.
But if you list items, then,
you know.
And we take couches too. Now, there's
Right.
scenarios where you get a large sectional. Even in that
Understood,
scenario,
yeah.
you could throw.
You're taking couches because you had them all on my street and they took them. for those? You took the couches last time on the
But
regular.
there's a 50 pound, it didn't matter, right? The
No, no, you're.
Right, if
On
they
the
can
MDC
make-
day, right, that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. So
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out what
Yeah.
that fine line of language
Yeah.
is that just says when it becomes unsafe.
Yeah.
Do we know about how many senior residents we have?
No, so like I said, we know we have 15% senior population. It doesn't necessarily tell us where they live, like, are they in a home, are they, I mean, for all we know, they could be in Edens or Asbury.
You got
So
Geezerville.
since that is so minimal, is there a way that we can just try to find a way to drop that to like $10 a month instead
Well,
of 15?
Well, here's a question I was wondering is why does that need to be limited to seniors? Why can't the 35 be anybody? If, say, like someone like Carolyn, she doesn't throw that much garbage out, why penalize her for that?
Yeah,
Is there a reason why you can't do that?
Yeah, the reason why we don't is because, especially with a price difference like that, then I would assume most people would get the 35 and then they just place things outside of the cart with stickers, which would defeat the purpose
Or
of
stack it
trying
on top. I seen a
take
lot of
advantage of
pyramids. Top of it,
Yeah.
you know.
And that kind of negates the whole gaining the efficiency on using the automated equipment. So if we're still getting out of the cab and picking up individual bags, then it's harder to pass the results of the efficiencies on in the rate.
What if you just said no 35-gallon toters and told the seniors, all right, you get the 95 at half price?
What's the difference?
Well, that would be
It's-
$10.
Because that's what he's trying to get people away from,
Yeah.
is the smaller toters. You can throw whatever you want in there. How many
Yeah.
old people's houses
I
do you
think
go
that's
to that they have a lot of garbage that they should be getting rid of?
If the price is which we assumed is the issue, I
Yeah.
mean, my recommendation is focus on the 35 only because, and like I said, this goes back to I've done garbage contracts for 20 years. Seniors typically, if they don't put a lot, I don't think they want a 95-gallon toter to push at the curb all the time. They're going to want a smaller cart probably.
Got it.
My mom's 80, I can't see her, I mean, I have a 95, I could never see her being able to get that 40 feet down.
It also takes up a lot of room.
Yeah, I have to weigh in on this too, because I had that was the first thought I had when you said that is, I don't think they'd want to push a great big thing. I wouldn't, and I'm a senior. And incidentally, Josh, my garbage is I put some every 6 weeks. So sticker, so my garbage is going to go up significantly, but that doesn't mean I'm against the idea. I think it's fair. I know that I'm an outlier. Incidentally, one day they left my bag sitting there in December, right around Christmas time, with the sticker on it, just so you know that, so.
Right, did you
Everybody
give
has a
us-
story.
Did you give us a call?
No, I tracked down a guy that was delivering the new garbage cans to people, and he came by and took it for me, so.
All right, that's resourceful.
Yeah.
I will point out, related to the senior, this is a conversation Steve and I had just kind of going through the scenarios potentially down the road. I did run, and not back of the napkin math, but I put some thought into a lower senior rate. To Steve's point earlier, I look and I took the $15 rate down to 12, and in order to make it work, I would have needed to add another 95 cents to the top rate, just to kind of give you an idea of,
I would be all for that.
yeah, so
I
that's
mean,
something we could look at.
That's still coming in cheaper than what
Yeah.
people are paying now for the 95?
Correct.
So the 95,
No.
Why raise it for 80% of the people?
not raising it.
He just said it would add $1.
It would
this
still reduce it
proposal.
from the current
Right,
rate.
But it's still, you're taking all a subset of the population, and
57% use totes right now, so 47% of our town do not.
That would
43.
only apply
but
to
we're
seniors.
talking
43.
about the
Yeah,
senior
seniors
rate.
only, right?
The only
It's
seniors.
Senior
so
rate.
43% doesn't.
Yeah.
So now we've got
15%.
families, and we've got people that.
You don't know what the 43% of people are
That's the
using
point.
though.
We don't know any other way, so why not make it equitable for everybody? $15 a month, we're not talking about a huge expense. I mean, that's less than a turf or martini. So, I mean, if it was something where it was $50 a month for the senior population, yes, but we don't even know what percentage of our seniors live in a home versus live in a private residence versus live in a condo, live in an apartment where they don't even have to deal with this. I'd rather do the greatest good for the greatest amount of people. And at that point, I think we have to take,
You
we
don't
have
know
to make
that.
this fair for everybody.
We don't know that. We don't know what 43% of our population's spending.
Right.
43% are using stickers.
But what
They're-
we do know that a majority of our residents live in a single-family home. So I would say that, I think to make it fair, the $15 for a toter, plus now they've got a reduction on their lawn care bags. I mean, I think at the end, it's all going to come out in the wash that everybody's getting a reduction, and we shouldn't be prioritizing one group over another. I mean, we all use a service. It's a bargain when you think about it.
I like $12.
That would be my, that would be my preference.
He likes free better. He likes free better, but $12 is all right.
Just some additional feedback in terms of, that increase from, 20% participation in carts to 60. I mean, a lot of that comes with, we have a great customer service team that makes sure residents are aware of their options. So a lot of that organic changeover were sticker users that didn't even realize that there was a cart program. They just thought the sticker program was the program. I'm not saying that was all of that increase, but it was certainly some that. So I would imagine there's some out there that maybe don't know that there's a cart program available that would.
I'm going to tell you, there's a staff member who recently confessed to me that they did the math and realized that they were spending a lot more on the sticker program than renting a toter and switched. And we tell all new residents when they come in and they ask about Groot, we ask them before they buy their stickers, they ask, do you think a toter might be better? I hear them say it. So, and when they do the math, some people say, no, I'm good with the stickers, but some people say I'm better with the toter. So I'm not saying it's a large percentage, but there probably are a few homes out there that don't realize the toter pricing is actually competitive to once a week.
Well, I'm going to admit, I've lived here for 24 years. I've been on the board for 4.5 years, and that's when I learned that there was a toter program in North. I had no idea that there was one. I thought I had to buy a sticker for my garbage. So, well, you weren't here when I moved in, Steve. So, maybe somebody said something. I didn't even know that, was not aware of it until I started serving on the board and I became aware of the contract.
Just a couple other quick
I think that is
tidbits
part of
just
it.
in my career. So over my career, like I said, I've gone through probably 5 different contracts, maybe 6. I've done it both ways. I've done RFPs. I've done straight negotiations in the last community in here. And in those regards, pricing, whether it comes out of an RFP or negotiations, negotiations do come back with favorable pricing a lot of times. And the thing about the best pricing that you'll see a lot of times is in a bid is you might see someone come in a little bit lower than the current price. They'll look at what the current sale, what are they paying now, and they come in a little bit. Or they freeze the first year. So whatever the board decides and directs me to do, I will do. I will say that whether it's reducing it to $12 for seniors, the fact that we have the wiggle room of the pricing, that it's reduced this much in the landscape sticker cost and in the existing toter cost, does give us some room to do that. So
Yeah, I think it's a fair. How will you inform the public about that they have to go to a toter?
So I'm just going to tell you right now, this is, ask the staff. I mean, I've already told them several times, no matter what we do, any major program change is a nightmare. And 5 years ago, we switched companies. And switching companies is not easy. We had to have every single toter picked up at everybody's house from Waste Management, and Groot had to deliver all new toters. And then everybody looked at the toter, or the price of the sticker, and now it's this much. And so we do our best. If you go to our website, I think the staff, we put together what I think is a really good informative breakdown of our contract, tries to direct people to what their options are. And of course, I have an amazing staff, so they do a great job answering questions, but it will be difficult no matter what we do for the first 3 months for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Batavia switched to toter only after they had a sticker program. And now the difference there is their toter percentage usage rate was way lower than ours. So I actually talked to someone at Batavia and got all that information. But it was hard. I talked to their administrator. It's a hard switch to change something that people are used to. There's no doubt.
So we've done more than a few of these. This is one of them, I think the last remaining sticker program we have. Typically, the way we tackle that is we get ahead of it. We send out some type of communication or joint communication with the village. It'll have a QR code, which would allow a resident to, select an option that's available to them, which obviously is very useful for those that are in the sticker program. It lays out all those options, including the senior option, and it would allow a resident to take advantage of that. If they're already on our cart program and they don't want to, change that, they don't have to respond. But what it does is it tallies it for us on the back end, and we get all that data in a spreadsheet. So we all have that well ahead of time. So we order the carts reflective of that feedback. But that's the advantage we have here, right? We're the incumbent. Our equipment and personnel are already on the street. This allows us the time to do that. And so every transition we've done like this, we've never been at even close to 60% participation. So you guys have a leg up already in terms of that. So there's a lot less transition to be had here. So I have very high confidence in the ability to execute this transition based on what we've done in past communities.
And then the other goal would be time-wise, if we can get this finalized in the next month or so, I can still have time to get it into the next newsletter before the contract goes into place. Last time we did that was a key. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think we may have even done a full page front and back insert to get people directed to the program.
So will someone have to scan a QR code and say whether they want, 30, if they qualify for 35, or if they want 65 or 95, and then they somehow contact your company and then you drop it off, or how is that all going to work for those the 43% who don't already have the toter service?
They could either utilize the QR code or they could just call us. So we'll take it either way. I know not everyone wants to use a QR code. So
Will there be a grace period until people can kind of get acquainted? If the new contract starts June 1st, is it going to be sort of like a total moratorium on stickers at that point, or will there
that's a good
transition
question.
period of like 1
Yeah.
month or something so people understand that they have to use a toter now?
Oh, if to use stickers beyond that point?
Right, if you end the sticker program, right, which
Yeah.
according to this would
Yeah.
be at the end of May, and you would
Yeah.
start toter on June 1st, would there be just some sort of grace period for those who may not be aware yet for that, maybe the month of June or something like that?
Yeah, the goal in communication would be that we would be utilizing the carts day one. If we roll in and see bags, we're not going to not take them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I can talk to
If you have-
Josh.
If you have, I have a follow-up question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Steve. So like if somebody has leftover stickers in June, would they be honored? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, they could keep the stickers and use them for either trash outside the cart or yard waste. So that's...
So Trustee Lowry, your question was exactly where I was going with it, so you were on the same page. That's what I was going to say. In our last contract, what we did when we switched over from waste management to Groot, we put a grace period on where Groot actually had to accept waste management stickers. In this case, you have an incumbent accepting their own stickers. The disadvantage to residents to actually stock up on stickers is that the sticker price is going to drop almost $2.
Yes.
So basically, their incentive would be to utilize any stickers they have and at the higher price, and then buy the new ones at the cheaper price. But yes, it would probably be a 1 or 2 month period where, Groot says until that person's set up, they will take the stickers. We'll make sure what's in there.
Thank you.
The only other thing I had tonight was one other tidbit, and I thought I'd do a shout out tonight. We had we talked to a resident right before the meeting who said I had some feedback on the Groot contract, and he brought up yard waste. And so I did have a nice conversation with them, and they just said in some towns, the yard waste is cheaper. So I did tell him that the sticker price is proposed to drop, which helps. But I also reminded him, and I just pointed this out to the board in case you wanted to discuss it any further, is like I said, everything has a price. So some of the towns, there are towns that have landscaping included in the price. But one instance would be South Elgin, but the price for their toter is significantly more than ours, and it's because that is probably embedded in their cost. So, like I said, everything has a place, but I think he was just happy that we responded right away and asked him his opinion.
Nice. Anything else? So, y'all good with that? Carolyn?
Yes.
Okay. Mike?
I'm good with it, yeah. I think it's a good deal.
I think, yeah, I like it.
Jason? Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Okay, we're good with keep going forward, but are we good with this proposal? There was some talk about senior pricing. I just want to make sure I have that right.
I like it as it is.
I think, I thought that's, as is.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, appreciate the feedback.
You bet.
Thank you.
So we have no other business. Look for motion adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Have a good night.
Great.
Turn my car on. Oops.
Chili.